Continuing on with our positional rankings, today we're going to be looking at the top 10 shortstops. Real quick before we get into the video, if you guys do enjoy this type of content, feel free to subscribe. It really does help my channel out and also lets me know that you guys enjoy these type of videos. But anyways, with that in mind, let's get right into this. Getting things started off at number 10, I have Wander Franco of the Tampa Bay Rays. Franco is a lot different than the other players on today's list because he really hasn't proven anything. Last season, he only played in 83 games in which he hit .277 to go along with 6 home runs, 8 stolen bases, a .746 OPS, and a 2.6 WAR. But even with the not so great numbers last year, I'm all in on Franco. Last year was his second big league season, and he's still only going to be 22 years old next year. And being a former top prospect who has dealt with numerous injuries so far, he just really needs to stay healthy, and I think he can put it all together. I mean, defensively, at a very young age, he is really advanced. I think one day he has the potential to be a Gold Glove shortstop, and obviously offensively he can also be a perennial all-star. So while the numbers may not suggest it, I think Franco is very talented and I have him coming in at number 10. Moving on at number 9, I have Jeremy Pena of the Houston Astros. Yes, this guy did get figured out in the postseason and towards the end of the regular season, but I think he's also going to make adjustments next year. After all, he put up great numbers in his rookie season, as in 136 games he hit .253 to go along with 22 home runs, 11 stolen bases, a .715 OPS, and a 4.8 WAR. And defensively, he was Gold Glove caliber as he had 16 defensive runs saved. He has great power for a shortstop and has great range and a great arm defensively, so really he only needs to work on the holes that he got exposed on late in the season. But if he puts in the work this offseason and fixes those mistakes, he has the chance to be a perennial all-star. I mean, 20 plus home runs and 10 plus stolen bases as a rookie, that really gives me reason to believe that he can hit 30 home runs and steal 20 bases one day. Pena won a lot last year on the Astros, winning the World Series as a rookie, and I think he's going to be a big piece of the Astros' success going forward. Moving on, at number 8, I have Bo Bichette of the Toronto Blue Jays. Bichette's offensive numbers are up there with the best of them, but his defense still needs a lot of work. He had negative 16 defensive runs saved last season, which was one of the worst in baseball. But with the offensive numbers he put up last year, if he can even slightly fix his defense, he's going to be a top 5 shortstop. Last year, he played in 159 games in which he hit .290 to go along with 24 home runs, 93 runs driven in, 13 stolen bases, an .802 OPS, and a 3.6 WAR. So like I said, if this guy even becomes an average defender over at shortstop, he's going to be one of the best shortstops in baseball. He's a big piece to Toronto's lethal offense, and I have him coming in at number 8. At number 7, I have Dansby Swanson of the Chicago Cubs. I know Swanson's numbers last season probably suggest he should be top 5, but I still think there's 6 shortstops that are better than him. But that's to take nothing away from Swanson. In a contract year last season, he put up the best numbers of his career. He played in all 162 games in which he hit .277 to go along with 25 home runs, 96 runs driven in, 18 stolen bases, a .776 OPS, and a 5.7 WAR. On top of these stellar offensive numbers, he also had 8 defensive runs saved, which earned him a Gold Glove. So he was all around great last season, and if he continues to play like this going forward, he is definitely going to earn himself a spot in the top 5. And I have heard some people say that Swanson's numbers are going to dip considering he's going from a great offense in Atlanta to a not so great offense in Chicago, but I still think Swanson's going to put up some good numbers. At number 6, I have Corey Seager of the Texas Rangers. Last year, he had a pretty good first season in Texas. In 151 games, he did only hit .245, but he did have 33 home runs, 83 runs driven in, a .772 OPS, and a 4.0 WAR. Defensively, he wasn't so hot as he had -4 defensive runs saved, but that's sort of been the case throughout his career. He's never been real bad, but he's also not been a good defender. And I know some questions might come up surrounding my decision to put Seager ahead of Swanson, especially after the numbers each of them put up last year, but I just think Seager is still slightly better. I think in his second year in Texas, he's going to be more comfortable and there's going to be a lot less pressure on his shoulders, and I think he's going to perform very well. At number 5, I have Xander Bogaerts of the San Diego Padres. Bogaerts last year put up another good season as he played in 150 games in which he hit .307 to go along with 15 home runs, 73 runs driven in, 8 stolen bases, an .833 OPS, and a 5.8 WAR. Defensively, he also took it up a notch and played much better than he has throughout his career as he had 5 defensive runs saved. Bogaerts is just such a good shortstop. He has 30 home run pop and can hit over 300 in his sleep. If he continues to play solid defense, he's going to be such a valuable asset for San Diego. Bogaerts is all around one of the best shortstops in baseball. He's been doing it for a very long time, and I have him coming in at number 5. At number 4, I have Carlos Correa of the Mets, the Giants, I don't really know. Last year with Minnesota, Correa put up some good numbers as in 136 games he hit .291 to go along with 22 home runs, 64 runs driven in, an .834 OPS, and a 5.4 WAR. He also had 3 defensive runs saved, so all around it was a great season. But I guess you could say for Correa standards it wasn't necessarily great because he was so good in Houston back in 2021. I think at this point in time, it's safe to say Carlos Correa is one of the best defensive shortstops in baseball. He has great range and an absolute cannon over there. I think next season he's going to bounce back and put up some MVP caliber numbers. I think he's really capable of doing so, and whoever he plays for next year is going to be a very lucky team. Correa is a supreme talent over at shortstop, and I have him coming in at number 4. At number 3, I have Francisco Lindor of the New York Mets. Lindor bounced back last season and proved that he's still an elite shortstop. He played in 161 games in which he hit .270 to go along with 26 home runs, 107 runs driven in, 16 stolen bases, a .788 OPS, and a 5.4 WAR. In terms of defense, he wasn't so great, but he is a 2-time Gold Glove Award winner, so I have reason to believe he's going to bounce back defensively. But after a rough first season in New York, Lindor bounced back and looked like the Lindor of old back in Cleveland. He is 100% back, he's still in his prime, and he's going to be a big contributor for New York going forward. At number 2, I have Fernando Tatis Jr. of the San Diego Padres. I know at this point in time he may not necessarily be a shortstop, but for the purposes of this video, I'm going to consider him a shortstop. He missed all of 2022 due to the injuries and the PED suspension, but in his last full season in 2021, he was an MVP candidate. He played in 130 games in which he hit .282 to go along with 42 home runs, 97 runs driven in, 25 stolen bases, and a .975 OPS. Now obviously he's not a great defender over at shortstop, he has a lot of work to do, but offensively he is easily the best. Tatis, in my opinion, is the only shortstop in baseball today that has 40 home run, 40 stolen base potential. I'm a huge fan of him, and I really do think prior to the 2021 season, he was the face of baseball at 21 years old. So next season, I really do hope he can revive his reputation and get back to the player he was prior to the injury and suspensions. But as talented as Tatis is, I just couldn't put him at number 1 after missing a full season. So at number 1, I have Trey Turner of the Philadelphia Phillies. Turner last year, in what was his only full season in LA, put up really good numbers. He played in 160 games in which he hit .298 to go along with 21 home runs, 100 runs driven in, 27 stolen bases, an .809 OPS, and a 4.9 WAR. Defensively, he was pretty average, and that's sort of been the story throughout his career. But offensively, he is just so talented. He has 20 home run pop and can steal 40 plus bases and also hit above 300. Turner is going to slot perfectly into that Philadelphia offense, and I think he's going to provide a big boost to them, and I have him as this year's best shortstop. Now before we wrap the video up, we have a couple honorable mentions who just missed out in Willy Adames, Ahmed Rosario, Nico Horner, and Tim Anderson. 4 really good shortstops that unfortunately just missed out on the list. But anyways, that's going to wrap today's video up. Let me know what you guys think down below, anything you agree with or disagree with. And as always, I want to thank you guys again so much for watching and continuing to support, and I'll see you next time.